The Sonos Roam 2 is here, and while it certainly looks a lot like the original, there is one new feature that's worth mentioning. So is this smart speaker worth the $179 price tag, or should you save a couple bucks and snag something more affordable from Anker or JBL? We're gonna talk about all that and more in the next 5 minutes. As mentioned, the original Roam and the Roam 2 look almost identical. The Roam 2 retains an IP67 rating, making it both dustproof and waterproof. Sonos does claim that this unit is drop-proof, but it doesn't quite have the extended rubber bumpers like you see on the Sony Altfield 1, so you will have to take your chances if you're gonna drop it. Otherwise, it feels durable. There's rubberized end caps on each side of the unit and 4 rubber feet on the bottom as well. One side of the speaker contains your physical control buttons along with a microphone button, which is to access your voice assistant. It's worth noting that you cannot take phone calls with the Roam 2. The other side is free of controls, which allows you to use the Roam 2 vertically. There are no ropes or strap attachments dangling from anywhere, so it's still very packable while looking nice and sleek if you want to use it around the house, which is important if you already own other Sonos speakers. Lastly, you'll find your USB-C charge port, your power button, and the Roam 2 now features a dedicated Bluetooth button on the back of the unit and no longer requires you to download the Sonos app just to get that first initial Bluetooth connection going. This means that the Roam 2 can now be used as a standalone Bluetooth speaker that anyone can connect to without having to download the Sonos app, and you can simply use the physical controls on the side of the speaker to control your playback. That being said, the Roam 2 does connect via the slightly outdated Bluetooth 5.2 and is SBC and AAC only. Wi-Fi connection will allow for higher quality audio, Apple AirPlay 2, and of course integration into your existing Sonos system, but you will need the app for that. Okay, so let's talk about the Sonos app here real quick. If you have read our reviews of the Roam on SoundGuys.com, you may know that we ran into some issues. In that case, you may know that we ran into some connectivity issues and some app hiccups while setting up the first Roam, and unfortunately it was the same case with the Roam 2. Once I was finally able to connect over Wi-Fi, the Roam 2 performed just fine, but it took me a solid hour of constantly restarting the speaker and my phone just to get the app to recognize the Roam 2. We're talking about multiple hard resets of the speaker and my device, not to mention occasional dead buttons in the app along the way. Even after all the connections had been established, I had issues with the EQ sliders functioning properly, so I constantly had to restart the app until they worked. Okay, the airing of grievances is over. Let's talk about the benefits to the Sonos app. The Sonos app is where you can manage your Sonos speaker ecosystem, and you can also configure your voice controls such as Sonos Voice Assistant and Amazon Alexa. However, it is worth noting that there's no longer support for Google Assistant. When it comes to EQ options, its functionality is a little limited. The Sonos app just supplies you with a simple bass and treble slider to personalize your sound with. The app will also allow you to pair a second Roam speaker for stereo performance, an original Roam or a Roam 2 together. However, this can only be accomplished over a Wi-Fi connection. You cannot pair a second Roam for stereo performance while connected over Bluetooth. Compared to the previous generation, unfortunately, we don't see any updates to battery life. Sonos still advertises 10 hours of playback with the Roam 2, which is a little under some of its competitors, but of course your mileage will vary depending on certain factors like your EQ settings and how loud you're cranking up your speaker. On to sound quality, again, the Roam 2 has not received any hardware upgrades. It's still a mono speaker with one tweeter and one mid-woofer. In a group setting, the Roam 2 sounds more significant than it looks, but it's not exactly a party starter. It'll get loud enough to fill a small living room or a gathering on your patio perhaps, but turning it up past 75% drastically reduces the bass response, which is nothing new for smaller Bluetooth speakers. It does this to prevent the whole unit from distorting. That said, I found the stock sound of the Roam 2 pretty enjoyable with decent clarity in the high and the mids when listening to some rock music around the house or chilling out to some lo-fi beats with some friends at the beach. While it doesn't put out quite as much booming bass as something like the JBL Flip 6, you can dive into that EQ and bump up the bass frequencies a little bit. Considering its size, you won't be shaking any walls with its low end, but it's still a decent sounding speaker that can easily be moved from room to room around the house. If you're looking to dip your toes into the world of smart speakers, or if you're looking to extend the reach of your current Sonos setup at home a little further, the Roam 2 is an ideal choice. App issues aside, it's still a great sounding speaker that can easily be moved from room to room around the house, but you can still take it to the park for a Sunday picnic. With its new connectivity option, just connecting over Bluetooth, you could essentially forego the app and use it as a dead simple Bluetooth speaker. However, it becomes a little pricey if you don't plan on taking advantage of any of its smart functions. Oh, just like that, it's been 5 minutes. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Dave Carr with SoundGuys. Be sure to read our full review of the Sonos Roam 2 at soundguys.com. And until next time, happy listening! Ow!